Have you ever given your heart to someone, only to realize later that the biggest lesson wasn't about them at all? It was about you. I want you to think about that for a moment. Think about a time when love didn't go the way you expected. Maybe it hurt. Maybe it confused you. Maybe it changed you. Because the biggest lesson I ever learned about love wasn't something I read in a book or heard in a song. It was something I lived through. And once I understood it, it changed the way I see relationships, the way I treat people, and most importantly, the way I treat myself. So today, I want to share that lesson with you, because there's a chance you might need to hear it too. And before we dive into our first rule, let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsor. Rule 1. Love starts with self-respect. The first rule I learned is that love cannot exist in a healthy way if you don't respect yourself first. When you don't value yourself, you accept things you normally wouldn't. You ignore red flags. You tolerate disrespect. I remember a time when I stayed in a situation longer than I should have, simply because I didn't want to lose the person. But what I didn't realize was I was losing myself. Once I started respecting my own boundaries, everything changed. People either rose to meet that standard, or they fell away. Rule 2. Communication is love in action. Love isn't just a feeling. It's expressed through communication. Without clear communication, assumptions grow, resentment builds, and misunderstandings take over. A simple tip is to say what you mean before frustration turns into silence. Honest conversations may feel uncomfortable in the moment, but silence creates distance that's harder to repair. Rule 3. Love reveals. It doesn't fix. One of the biggest misconceptions is thinking love will fix someone or fix everything. What love actually does is reveal who people really are. It magnifies strengths and exposes weaknesses. I once believed that if I just loved harder, things would improve. But what I learned was that love shows you reality more clearly, and once you see the truth, you have to decide what to do with it. Rule 4. Effort must be mutual. Love cannot survive on one person's effort alone. When only one person is trying, giving, sacrificing, or compromising, imbalance forms. A practical tip is to observe actions, not promises. Consistency tells you more than words ever will. When effort flows both ways, relationships feel lighter instead of exhausting. Rule 5. Love requires emotional maturity. Emotional maturity means taking responsibility for your feelings instead of blaming others for them. It means apologizing when you're wrong and listening when someone is hurt. I remember a moment when I realized arguments weren't about winning. They were about understanding. When both people choose growth over ego, love becomes stronger instead of fragile. Rule 6. Boundaries protect love. Some people think boundaries push others away, but healthy boundaries actually protect relationships. They create clarity and prevent resentment. A helpful tip is to define what you will and will not accept early, not after problems appear. Boundaries are not walls. They are guidelines for respect. Rule 7. Love is shown through consistency. Anyone can be loving for a day, a week, or during good times. Real love shows up consistently, especially when life gets difficult. I saw the difference between temporary affection and genuine commitment when someone stayed present during a challenging period instead of disappearing. Consistency builds trust more than grand gestures ever could. Rule 8. You cannot force someone to love you. This lesson can be painful, but it's freeing. No amount of effort can make someone feel something they don't. A practical tip is to pay attention to willingness. When someone wants to be there, you won't have to convince them. Releasing the need to force connection opens the door for authentic relationships. Rule 9. Love teaches you about yourself. Every relationship reflects something back to you. Your triggers, your fears, your patterns, your strengths. I once realized that certain conflicts weren't just about the other person. They were about wounds I hadn't healed yet. That realization became powerful because it allowed me to grow instead of repeating the same cycles. Rule 10. Love is a choice every day. Feelings come and go, but commitment is chosen. Choosing patience instead of anger. Choosing understanding instead of assumptions. Choosing kindness instead of pride. When two people consistently choose each other, love deepens over time instead of fading. And that choice starts with you deciding the kind of partner and person you want to be. Conclusion: the biggest lesson I ever learned about love is this. Love is not just about connection with someone else. It's about growth within yourself. When you respect yourself, communicate honestly, maintain boundaries, and choose consistency, love becomes something empowering instead of something draining. I want to encourage you to take one of these lessons and apply it in your life starting today. Because the quality of your relationships often reflects the quality of the relationship you have with yourself. If this message spoke to you, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And here's a question for you. Which of these rules resonated with you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.